Do it. Do it. Come on, kill me. I'm here. Come on, do it now. Kill me.
Schwartzy, the podcast. It's a Schwartzy show.
What kind of pizza are you gonna get?
My fucking classic order.
Your usual order?
My usual order. Double cheese. No, not double cheese. Extra cheese.
Double cheese is different than extra cheese.
It is. It's just like sloppier.
Oh, dude, double cheese is so sloppy.
It's so sloppy.
You know, remember when we were kids and we would get the full pizza and I used to put all the cheese on the last slice?
Oh, it was so fucking gross, dude.
Dude, I loved that. I kind of wish I could do it right now.
But you can't because pizza changed their recipe and it's gross.
They did. It's
now.
a different cheese now. It's like a more like kind of like harder cheese. It's not as goopy.
It is just
Oh
goopy.
man, that cheese used to be so goopy.
Hi, I'd like to order a medium pizza for pickup. It's for pickup, please. It's Aleks.
And I'm Malenko.
Nice to meet you.
Martin Grove and Murderthorpe. Cut that out. Could I order the same thing I ordered last time? Yes, please. MasterCard, please. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. When I meant cut that out, I meant like cut out the fact that I'm not getting fucking doxxed. It doesn't matter how many fucking people.
Thank you for calling Pizza.
Thank you for calling Pizza.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to leave your phone number in there. Of course, I'm going to edit that
for
part
sure,
out. Yeah,
for sure. That's what I meant.
But I mean, like, do you? So, what are we going to start pod now, or are we
yeah,
gonna
sure, yeah, we can do it.
Well, like, but you have to go get pizza.
Oh, I have to go get pizza.
Are we gonna stop in the middle?
Yeah. Do you want to pause?
I don't know.
I mean, it's 12:30. We might as well just start.
Well, oh fuck, that's going to be so annoying to edit afterwards.
Why?
I don't know.
Just stop it and start it.
What the hell?
What the hell? What the hell?
This movie.
That's what I was thinking the whole time of this movie. I was like, what the hell?
What the hell?
Seriously, dude. Raw Deal, directed by John Irvin. The title of this movie sounds like a gay porno.
Someone think of that.
Someone gave someone the raw deal.
Raw deal. You know what? First of all, the title makes no fucking sense with this movie. It has nothing to do. We'll get to all the stuff that I want to get to about what makes no sense in the movie. The way the movie starts,
Yeah,
it's like pretty tip top. I was like, maybe I was remembering this wrong. Maybe it was like 70s or 80s boring, where a kid is just like, oh man, this is so fucking boring, but something super compelling about this. It is so not that.
No.
The first scenes are really cool and really well shot.
we open up on a Amtrak train, entering a train station with some cool like farty 80s bass music, and suddenly we see like a couple boss ass looking old white dudes who are one's in a suit and the other one's like more regularly dressed. The regularly dressed guy is in the boat area and then he goes to greet an arriving helicopter. And the regularly dressed guy, the costume design for this guy, like, did you notice what he was wearing? Like the color palette combination
Like
of
a
his
weird
clothing.
green jacket and
Yeah, like a tweed jacket, a light brown fedora that has a pattern on it, and then a light blue button-up shirt, like a dad shirt.
Yeah.
And then a dark green tweed sweater or suit jacket, and a darker brown pullover underneath the jacket.
You paid so much more attention to this fucking terrible movie. So much more than I do. Like, honestly, like, I would not be able to watch this alone. I'm so glad I watched it with Jeff, because like not being able to talk through this, it's terrible. It's
Dude.
all the things they say about Red Sonja fully applies to this 10 times more, despite being better filmed, better lit, better editing. It's just like, it's such a boring fucking movie. I was watching the first scene. I was like, oh man, this feels like a Michael Mann movie. It's so cool. And I was like, but it's trash. It's such trash, and I hate it.
Okay, so just one more thing about this guy, the regularly dressed guy. He's got my favorite kind of nose. The incredibly thick top ridge that's just like looks like it's been broken so many times.
Thirsty for more.
And it reminds me about the woman remember I told you that story when I went to that like musicians gala? Okay, so I went to this musicians kind of gala thing. Where, you know, like you're supposed to meet industry people and talk about, you know, like how you get headshots and all that kind of shit. It's that stupid fake bullshit. And you have to like pretend you're like, oh, so what do you do? And, oh, really? Oh, well, I do this.
Yeah.
And then you hand out cards and you never like the cards. You're like, oh, maybe I'll save this. And then you never call the people or talk to them.
No,
or
but
if
you still
do,
have the card.
It's one email exchange and it's like, oh, yeah, hey, I was at that thing too. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it works.
So at one of these things, there was this woman there who was, you know, she's supposed to be really, really, you know, knows what she's doing in terms of like artist management and headshots and shit like that. And, you know, she's like, oh, I always know what everyone's good side is. And I was like, really? What's my good side? And then she looked at me kind of like, you know, she really like furrowed her brow and like really glanced me over, looked at me from both sides, and she was like, how many times have you broken your nose?
What are the signs your nose is broken?
And I said, never.
Oh no.
And she was like, really? Oh, well, and then she just couldn't backpedal from it. And
So
it was
cringy.
And like,
So cringy.
I didn't even care as much as just the situation was cringy. So like, I was embarrassed for her for having said that. And so I just couldn't manage to like act normally around her after that.
Oh man, I feel like I would have reveled in that so much.
Oh, it was a lot of fun for sure. So the beginning sequence is like a montage establishing to the audience that these are some like dangerous dudes. And in the next scene, that poorly dressed old dude with the nose arrives in a forest in a black car with a sniper rifle. He hides behind a shed and he aims at a dude on a dock at a lake. And he shoots this like strapped middle-aged dude and he falls into the water. And then all the other old suits get out of the car. There's a thicker middle-aged dude who gets out of the car with a shotgun, and that dude looks so Serbian, dude. I wanted to talk. He looks like a Miroslav. Or a Chica Srba or something like that.
Yeah.
And the third guy was wearing this like weirdly crimson red suit jacket. Do you remember that?
No. I honestly, like, by the end of the movie,
Yeah.
if I hadn't written notes down, just like every single time I watch this movie, I remember it as I'm watching it, and then it just gets erased from my mind. I honestly, but I wrote down the same thing. Like, they were really normal looking dudes. It like, you know what? Do you remember the Friends of Eddie Coyle?
Yes.
The beginning of the movie reminded me of that movie. And the like, I saw names in this movie, like Ann Coates edited Lawrence of Arabia, and fucking the writer Norman Wexler wrote Scorpio, and Joe and Saturday Night Fever. Like, those are good movies.
My how did you guess?
How did you guess?
For this movie is that the main one really is that Dino De Laurentiis wanted to like make some quick money. He thought this movie was gonna make some quick money.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to slap it together to get a quick little hit.
Slapped together.
To get a quick little hit in before he was going to release his crowning achievement, which was Total Recall.
Oh, crazy.
And this movie tanked so bad that he got bankrupted because of it, and he had to sell the rights to Total Recall.
Right, okay.
Another how did you guess within that how did you guess
How did you guess?
is that Schwartzy only did this to fulfill the contract with Dino De Laurentiis, and he was really interested in playing the main character in Total Recall.
Interesting.
But Dino De Laurentiis did not want him for that role. He wanted Patrick Swayze. The irony of him losing the movie is that Schwartzy got to be in the movie.
Yeah. So if we didn't have this shit movie, we wouldn't have. You know what? It's not even like It's
Do you
not
think
even,
we still would have liked Total Recall if it wasn't Schwartzy?
No.
Okay.
No, are you fucking kidding me? No.
That's true. It just wouldn't have been as good.
It just wouldn't have been as good. Fully wouldn't have been as, and Cronenberg was supposed to direct that movie, and it fully wouldn't have been as good if Cronenberg directed that movie.
Dude, there's two cops playing Trivial Pursuit as one third one enters the room.
That was really great.
The Trivial Pursuit question is, how many times was John Wayne nominated for an Academy Award? And since they're probably both like Republican, like gun-toting Republicans and police officers of a shitty fascist American state.
Are they? They're not police officers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they
they're
are the
FBI.
police. They're FBI. Yeah,
yeah.
You're right. You're right. Of course, that would be a question.
One of the other one says to the other one, probably not enough. And then the other one chuckles in agreement.
Yeah.
And the cop that walks into the room says that Macalino is asleep. He's a witness that's in witness protection. And all of these cops are protecting this one witness. So the mob is trying to hit this guy. And the cop opens the door and Miroslav is standing at the door and smokes him. And then Miroslav shoots up the whole entire cabin with an Uzi.
You know what? I want to preface this by saying I really liked the first like 15 minutes of the movie. I thought, or like the first 10 minutes of the movie. Like when they come into the cabin and they're like setting everything up.
Yeah.
It's like an interesting setup. And when they finally get to the witness and he's like crying on the floor, like that was fucked.
Yeah.
And they bring him to the fucking mirror and in a wide shot fucking fully shoot him
In the face.
In the face.
I wanted to talk about the scene where the paramedics get to the scene of the crime. All these FBI agents have been killed, including the son of this guy, Harry, Officer Harry. His name is Blair, the son. And he was a young, like, new recruit into the FBI. And it was 2 weeks until his birthday, and he died. He died protecting that witness, Marcelli, who was like the Fredo guy.
The movie makes so much more sense with this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because the way I was watching it, like, because I was just like watching it, right?
didn't take
like,
notes.
No, I took notes. No, I took notes. I just nothing stands out in the movie. It's just like, it's so bland.
Dude, you know who plays Harry, Officer Harry? This is a how did you guess?
How did you guess?
He's a real that guy.
Who?
Darren McGavin.
Yeah.
Do you know who Darren McGavin is?
I feel like I do.
He's the dad in A Christmas Story.
Yeah. Okay, I know.
And he's also the dad in Billy Madison.
He's in Billy Madison. That's where I recognize him from.
He was also in Millennium, The X-Files, and he did a voice on Gorgiles.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly!
Isn't that great? There's a lot of great voice actors on
Yeah,
Gargoyles.
for sure.
Michael Dorn.
Keith David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marina Sirtis.
Yeah. A lot of
Star Trek alum. Also, he was a villain in the 1990 Captain America.
Oh,
Remember
amazing.
the old school
the
Captain
terrible
America?
where he was wearing a bicycle helmet. Not a bicycle helmet, a motorcycle helmet.
So Harry vows to his friend and his fellow officer that he's going to kill the people responsible for this.
Yeah.
So it's like this revenge movie, and Schwartzy's kind of incidental in this plot.
He doesn't need to be in the movie.
Schwartzy.
Schwartzy doesn't need to be in the movie. Can I rate the movie now?
Rate the movie now.
Okay. This is legitimate rating. This is no 70 Schwartzys out of 2,000 Schwartzys.
Are you rating out of Schwartzy's or out of stars?
I'm rating it out of Schwartzys. This is a 2 out of 10 for Schwartzys.
Wow.
A 2 out of 10. And I'll tell you why. You're absolutely right. He is incidental in the movie.
Yeah.
He has no motivation in the movie. It's
No.
all Harry's motivation. By the way, it's really nice to hear Schwartzy say, Harry.
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 Because I love that in Total Recall.
Dude, he calls there's so many Harrys in Schwartzy's movies. We're going to see several more Harrys
Well,
pop up.
his name is Harry in True Lies.
So Dino De Laurentiis presents Raw Deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, are we
this
starting
guy's-
again? Are we starting from the beginning again?
Oh man, the wacky cowboy music that comes in as Schwartzy's driving at 5:26 minutes.
What the fuck did I do wrong?
And when we first see him in a Jeep with the top down and he's chasing a bad guy. on a motorbike who looks like T-1000. Didn't that guy look like T-1000?
He was, and he was dressed like a cop. I thought this was cool. Like, again, I was like super down with like the first like 15 minutes. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, because they really played this chase scene for humor, right?
Yeah.
Like they drive through this kind of like log processing plant, and he's really trying to get this guy.
He catches him in a really cool fucking way, though.
How does my God.
He like chases him down. He somehow gets in front of him at a certain point and has poured gasoline all over the place and like throws his stogie.
My stogie! Wow!
And like,
Which Mythbusters proved was impossible, right? That you could light gas with like a stogie.
know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it like dries or something too quickly, or it evaporates too quickly.
No, it gets too wet, maybe.
Oh,
is that it?
Maybe. I don't know. But it is a cool way of doing it. What a weird backstory they give this fucking criminal. He's like a guy who's dressed like a cop, who's stopping people on purpose on a motorcycle dressed as a cop and getting them to bribe him. Like, all within like a few seconds, they explain this shitty dude's entire life. And that was pretty funny. And he's like the local sheriff, which never comes back in the movie.
Never, ever.
Like, it never comes back in the movie. Why would he be a sheriff of a small town if he just got like fired from being an FBI agent?
Well, they try to explain that. So he gets home and okay, this part was amazing.
This part was amazing and so depressing. So depressing.
So depressing. I said at the end that the tragic hero of this movie is Amy, his wife.
100%. I felt so bad for Amy, even though they also make her a terrible person. She's such a bad person.
Well, he gets home to the sounds of the Royal Harmonic Orchestra playing Romeo and Juliet's overture. And she's making a cake, like I guess we were led to believe all 1980s wives were doing all the time. Like, just like
pretending to be 1950s wives.
Yeah,
because all the dudes who would make this were born in the 50s and grew up in the 50s.
Right. So she's making chocolate ice cream. She's
making chocolate icing, has baked a cake, and drinking whiskey at the same time
in a short glass with ice. The conversation gets hostile pretty fast. He asks, like, kind of like sarcastically if they're having company, and she says they're celebrating alone, and they're celebrating 5 years of exile in this shitty small town where she has
5 years. She's specific about it. 5 years. Like, there's so much backstory given.
There really is
in this movie, and like I said, I was still, even this was like teetering on me being like down.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah, this is like, I was super down. And also he says the lines, this job, like saying job instead of job. I really love when Schwartzy says,
I wouldn't have even had a chance to get this job.
Well, the movie quickly goes wacky when she just like throws the large icing knife into a pile of like clean laundry, and then continues plopping and smearing icing on this really delicious looking chocolate cake. Yeah. But it looks like so sloppy, though.
It's really sloppy.
He assures her that their exile won't last forever. And she says, the hell it's not. And it's usually one of Schwartzy's catchphrases. Yeah. The hell with you.
Then the hell with you.
The hell with you.
The hell you will.
We get the sense that they've had this fight before, because Schwartzy says something along the lines of like, we've been through this before. And she wanted him
5 years, dude.
She wanted him to fight the decision of the FBI for kicking him out for some reason that we don't know yet. And she wishes that they had stayed in New York City. He says that if he had stayed, he would have gone through to trial and he wouldn't have been able to even get this job. His acting in this scene was really good.
I wouldn't say that he's wooden throughout the movie, but he is like weirdly stoic in a way that like the gravity of certain scenes when they happen, it just doesn't feel like he's, I don't know. This is still parts of scenes where I'm like, oh, he's like being a character and he's being interesting. But later on, it's just like, I don't know. It's a bummer. But he does say a really funny line, which was, you should not drink and bake.
You should not drink and bake.
Which was like the first of many kind of only marginally okay one-liners that like...
Yeah, I thought this scene was really, really interesting because we kind of get this like internal like traditionalism of Schwartzy looking at the pots and pans and looking towards her and being like, so what's for dinner?
What are we having for dinner?
Yeah.
Has that expectation where he knows that there's nothing for dinner, but he's disappointed in her and wants to let her know that he's disappointed in her.
Passive aggressively, like letting her know that, I don't know.
And then she says that just cake is for dinner. And he says, if we eat this cake, we'll get fat.
This is going to make us fat.
You think because we're in shape, we're not already fat? We're like all the cows they raise around here. Stuck. Victims of circumstance.
I was like, wow, weird. Like,
so many fat shaming moments in Schwartzy.
There are so many fat shaming moments.
But he's so into it. He's in those audio commentaries that I listen to where he's like, I'm now dressed as an old lady. A fat old lady. It's like amazing.
He's super into like body shaming. I've heard,
but it's because he's super fat phobic. Obviously, there's no like. Why wouldn't he be? Like, look at him.
I've heard that he's of late grown to appreciate different body types.
Yeah, I mean,
I think like he's gone more with the times.
Sure, he's also vegan now.
Is he really?
Yeah. Whoa. No, I'm a vegetarian. You punch like a vegetarian. You know, lines like that.
Oh yeah.
But it's not like he's writing the scripts. Like,
so. She says that they're fat like cows already because they live in this shitty town. And then she...
Poverty shaming.
somehow in 2 seconds wrote the word shit on the cake and then threw the cake at him. She says cow's main production is shit. And then she shows the cake with the word shit on it and throws it at him. Man, this movie was a fucking slog.
So weird. It's like weird too, like weird in ways that are like, this isn't even like 80s funny weird. It's just like,
I felt really bad for her. Like she's clearly so unhappy there. Like if you're day drinking and like baking cakes out of depression, like you're clearly very upset about your life.
Yeah.
So tragic hero of this movie is Amy.
But also she's kind of a piece of shit too.
Why is she a piece of shit?
Because like it's fine. Like I get it. I totally get it. Like you've lost your New York life, but like this is what like right wingers are peak like oh, she's so elitist. She's been here 5 years. She hasn't even tried. You know what I mean? And it's like, whoa, dude, like your husband lost his job and like you have to move because it's, I guess
there's
dangerous or something. Like I sort of
wait. Why was it that they moved?
I don't know.
Well, you cut to the next scene, and she's asleep in the living room, and she's still holding the glass of scotch from before. And he picks her up and takes her to bed, and the phone rings. Schwartzy answers the phone. There's a big American flag in the background. On the phone is our friend Darren McGavin, or
Gary.
And he's called to proposition Schwartzy. Harry has trouble. And he wants to meet with Schwartzy and doesn't want to talk on the phone.
But he does say, you've seen better days. If you want to see them again, come meet me.
That's true.
And like it's lit in a really cool way, and it's like noirish and like interesting.
He's implying that Schwartzy can get his old job back.
Yeah.
So Schwartzy arrives at this community center and he heads into this marriage counseling office. And he comments that the FBI have always find random meeting spaces, referring to the place they're at. And Harry says this has nothing to do with the Bureau. And he puts on a tape immediately on one of those TVs. Dude, I was so excited to talk to you about this TV. Whenever we had a substitute teacher growing up and you saw that TV that was strapped down to like that dolly.
The dolly, yeah.
You saw someone wheel that into a room. You were like, oh man, we're going to watch a fucking movie today. Because there was no lesson plan and we didn't want to learn.
In this scene, I really love, I really, there's certain words that Schwartzy says,
Yes.
like murder, like it's
murdered,
like,
molested, and mutilated her.
Yeah, like it just like very specific lines that like he delivers with such compassion in the scene.
What Schwartzy's referring to when he talks about the murder, molestation, and mutilation is a guy he beat the fuck up, who was like this, you know, abuser and murderer of an 11-year-old girl. Harry says that the public wasn't keen on heavy-handed cops at the time. So this prosecutor, Baxter, decides to like offer Schwartzy an ultimatum and say, resign or be prosecuted. And so it left him little choice. He resigned. And now that's why he lives in that shitty town.
Yeah.
So Schwartzy has a specific axe to grind against this guy, Baxter. But Harry says that Baxter is trying to prosecute mob boss Luigi Petrovito. I hated his name. I had such trouble writing it when I was like, and such trouble remembering it. Lou Petrovita. Like, what is that? It sounds like fake name or fake street 123, you know?
Yeah. It also, I don't know, like at this point I was like, man, like this movie has so much more style, like filmic style than Commando.
Yeah.
But I was so much more down with Commando.
Oh my God. Well, Commando actually gave you, it was really very, you know, semiotics.
This is a job for semiotics, the field of study that explores how humans and other organisms derive meaning from the world around them.
And like the signifiers and like the good and the evil.
Totally.
It's like that. This movie tries to give you way too much story.
Well, here's the interesting thing is that Schwartzy doesn't need to be Schwartzy in this movie. That's why I gave it two Schwartzys.
Two Schwartzys.
Because like you can literally put, this is a Steven Seagal movie. You can put in Steven Seagal into this movie and that would be the selling point. Schwartzy's too good for this movie at the same time as this movie would have worked better without him. If there was like a normal dude in it, it just wouldn't have had the same tone of like expectation. Like we expect him to be either like superhuman in some way or like interesting in some way or charismatic. He's just so hollow. Yes.
Harry explains that Lou Petrovita runs one of the strongest Chicago families. It's a mob thing. I was kind of on board with the mob story. At parts, it reminded me of The Departed. It's kind of a similar plot.
I fully was like, these parts, I fully agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this movie was kind of like The Departed. Okay, so Harry explains to Schwartzy that his son has died.
Yeah.
And because Harry is now really upset that his son is dead, he wants to take down the entire Petrovita family.
Yeah.
And he wants to do it off the books, so not with the FBI. So he's propositioning Schwartzy specifically out of pocket, paying him all of his life savings.
Outrageous.
$45,000. Which isn't a lot for life savings, I guess.
Which is
for
a lot
inflation,
for 80s life savings.
For
that's
80s
a
life
lot.
savings,
Yeah.
that's a lot. Yeah. So he spends his life savings trying to, you know, like he wants to get Schwartzy to infiltrate the Petrovita family, to break them apart and kill them. So he gives Schwartzy a new identity, and he offers him like the idea of possible reinstation, right?
Reinstation.
Like,
is that a word?
I don't
Reinstatement?
know. Reinstatement. That's right. So he tells Schwartzy he wants him to enter the family without the Bureau's help because there's a leak somewhere and their guys keep getting killed. So that's our explanation why he wants this to remain outside the FBI. No one's going to know about Schwartzy except for Harry. But that's so risky because if anything happens, then this guy has no like alibi. It's like totally off the books. It's so much of a risk for Schwartzy. And it's so insane the plan that he goes through. So he kills himself or pretends that he's died in the most insane way possible.
He's the most outrageous.
He drives to an oil refinery area, breaks into it, and then calls it in as if someone's broken into it and he's investigating, turns on the gas, explodes the entire oil refinery place, and leaves on a motorcycle.
Yeah, basically commits terrorism and just leaves. And it's like so dangerous. It's like, why would anybody do this? Why not have a fake body or like,
oh my
it's the
God.
most outrageous.
It's such a weird plan.
Well, it's like, it's Commando level outrageous with such a boring, low stakes, nothing of a plot that just that's the big thing, is that the thing that Schwartzy is doing is supposed to create stakes in the movie for Schwartzy to be oh, I'm feeling in danger,
yes.
But he never feels in danger. No. But he's never outrageous enough in Commando where he's got cool one-liners either. So it's
no.
Why is this outrageous thing happening in this weird, normal, casual movie?
Here's a how did you guess for you.
How did you guess?
The company of the oil or the gasoline factory or whatever the fuck that place was is called Irvin Co. or Irvin Company, who's John Irvin.
The
director. It was like a nod to the director, a nod to himself. It doesn't get any better. It just gets so convoluted.
It does. And then at this part I was did you notice that the music, which was written by a company called Music Company or something, it's just generic guitar music.
Yeah.
It's just bad. It's just overall, this is where just tanks for me. It was just
in the next scene, he's in a hotel room, Schwartzy is, and he's doing that thing where, for some reason, they tape the pictures of all of the people they need to get from this mob. They tape the pictures on the wall.
Fully, for the audience.
Yeah, there's no need for this to be happening.
Yeah, none of the movie needs to be happening.
And there's a voiceover of Harry telling him, so the main guy is Luigi Petrovita. He's the main crime boss. He's buried a marching band to get where he is. What did that mean, bury a marching band? Is that an expression? I didn't look it up.
No, it's not an expression.
Are you
Most
sure?
of the lines in this fucking movie aren't things. Some of the things that pretend to be one-liners are just wait, what? I half expect certain characters to be what? What do you mean? What did you mean by that?
Roca is a ruthless killer and a fixer for Petrovita, and he's his right arm, and apparently would kill for table scraps. Was it just me, or did Roca not seem that scary when you actually meet him?
No, he was so not threatening.
He was kind of a friendly guy, actually.
I'm just trying to help your business, man. It seemed like that was their entire interaction. Him and Luigi's him and Petrovita's interaction were all just what are you doing, boss? This is crazy. And it was just
he's just giving him the most practical advice the whole movie. So Schwartzy has a new identity, and he has $25,000 for initial expenses and a fake ID. And he refers then to a squat-faced guy, in quotations, named Hammer Lemansky. And he's been skimming off the top for Petrovita. He's worked for him, but now he's stealing some of his income. And it's become kind of a well-known sort of open secret, right?
Yeah.
Dude, in this next scene, Schwartzy does his legendary slicked back hair look, which he never did ever after that.
No.
But did you like the slick back hair look?
Slick back hair look.
Me too.
He looks a little bit sleazy.
It sounds like you really have a little crush on Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Shut up.
But cool.
For
sure. 90s kid cool. Because
90s kid cool,
I would slick my hair back.
Oh, for sure. Because of this movie? Yes. You know that in grade 7, I didn't wash my hair for a year and I just put Vaseline in it because I wanted to slick it back.
Dude, I remember when you put Vaseline in it. And I'm sure that when you first started balding, you were like, damn.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I was like, I clogged those damn follicles up in grade 7. No, but you know what? I did it for so long, and I just
justifying anything as just balding, like, oh, I'm so stressed. Maybe that's why I'm balding.
No, but you know what? The reason that I wanted to slick my hair back with Vaseline is because I hated how hard gel made my hair. I liked the look, but I didn't like,
Vaseline, dude.
I know, and for some reason I just wanted slicked back hair. Like I never,
like it wasn't even because of this movie.
No, I don't know why I wanted it. I thought it looked cool. And one time I was on a trip and these girls were standing behind me and they were like, oh, I wish Milena would wash her hair. And there was no one named Milena at all. And I turned around and I said, hey, you're talking about me. And they were like, no, you're not Milena.
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
Oh my God, it's so embarrassing.
Tragic.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, dude.
I love it. I love that story.
Oh, that hurts.
After Schwartzy slicks back his hair, he goes into a smoky, illegal gambling ring with a bunch of middle-aged white dudes gambling. And he tells the bet taker, what do you call that guy? Not a bookie. That's
a person who like takes bets.
Well, this guy's taking bets.
Oh, like, I mean, I guess
at a craps table.
A craps table. I guess, like, I don't know.
Croupier.
So Schwartzy wants to prove that the table isn't straight by putting some metal balls down and showing that there's a magnet.
That was cool. I like that. Where he like proved that they were like fucking with the table or whatever, the odds of, I don't know how you even cheat at that game, but I thought the scene was cool.
There's magnets in the dice, I think that's what it does, and then it like rigs,
okay.
Yeah, it rigs the game in the favor of the table, I believe. And Schwartzy says a one-liner before flipping over the table, magic or magnet. I'm like, what?
Bad. Yeah. Like the most
just alliteration, like the most like basic fucking device in writing.
It's just like terrible.
The gamblers leave and the henchmen stay behind to fight Schwartzy, and he beats all of them the fuck up. And I felt like pretty believably beats them up, actually.
Yeah, fully. And also does a classic 80s arm twist. Do you remember that? Where people would like try and punch a person and then they would loop their arm around theirs and twist.
I love that. I love that.
Like,
the pinch.
Yeah, and it's like, does this actually do anything?
Yeah, like when are you ever in that scenario where you were able to pinch someone's arm with your arm?
Yeah.
It's so rare to have a situation where your arm is in that position with another person, especially if you're fighting them.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, then Schwartzy leaves after beating up all these bad guys, goes into a big like flatbed pickup truck, a big red flatbed pickup truck, and he aims at the store where he just was, the gambling ring. And there's a humorous scene where he asks some old people to move so he can drive, and then they remind him to turn on his lights, and he just like smashes into this building, demolishing the entire building. He's so happy doing all of this stuff. Did you notice?
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
It really seems like the character, it like took a lot of delight in like being this, he really wanted to like, I feel like he has a trajectory of becoming more and more into being this character of Joey Bremer.
I think that's true. And I'll go back to the stakes thing. If the movie were better written and like took that to a separate level of like, he starts fucking up because he's too into the character. This guy wants revenge for his son.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are you like fucking around with like, wasting my money or something, creating some sort of tension. Like there were so many, dude, when I was watching this with Jeff, there were so many times where we would like, just like be like, there's such an opportunity to make an interesting movie out of this.
Absolutely.
Like you pointed out a perfect example where it's like, why not? He does take delight in it, but it goes nowhere.
So it cuts to Petrovita and Rocco meeting with the Hammer, and the Hammer is trying to remain good with Petrovita and keep working alongside him. But Petrovita tells him that there isn't room in this town for the both of them. And suddenly, like, I guess hooligans that have been hired by the Hammer? Is this what we're led to believe, that the Hammer hired those guys in that school bus, the gray school bus, to drive by and shoot up Petrovita?
There was such an outrageous line after this where he was like, he shoots up they shoot up the crime boss, and he goes, "Tony was a good kid. Get a good replacement for him." It was like
the guy who protects him and dies protecting him. Yeah. And then they drive away crappily in the vehicle after. I like that touch.
I like that too.
Of it still works, but it's not running very well.
There was a lot of scenes in this movie where like people would like slip or like drive away like crappily, and they just kind of left it in. I don't know if that was like an active choice or if it was like, it's the best take, whatever, we'll just put it in.
I feel like a lot of it was intentional. Next scene is so outrageous. Schwartzy, dressed as a like stereotypical gangster, walks over to like a black limo, and he gets in the back, and the driver says, "You've got the wrong vehicle, pal." And Schwartzy pulls out a gun and he says, "Shut up." He pulls out this huge Magnum, dude, and the driver's like, "Hey, like, you don't know who you're fucking with. This is like someone very important." And Schwartzy knows.
Yeah.
Because who walks in the car but the girlfriend of the Hammer, who he threatens.
Yeah.
He tells the driver to drive, and then he like intimidates her and tells her to take off all her jewelry.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get to the movie Chunya, because I can't pronounce the word.
I was wondering when you were gonna chunya first.
With the Chunya?
Chunya.
Junior?
I'm pregnant.
Schwartzy tells this woman, like, he fully shames this woman and like kind of humiliates her. He like takes her jewelry, and he says that she has bad taste in men, but he has good taste in jewelry. Which all of the lines just land so flat in this movie.
It's incredibly annoying. And like the one thing that I did find interesting, you mentioned the suits. I loved all the suits.
The suits were pretty great.
Yeah, the suits were cool. Because they seemed to like accentuate how broad he was.
Yeah, for sure. I gotta say, I get that he's playing a character and he's trying to intimidate this woman and stuff, but this movie is misogynistic. The women characters.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. But there's not even enough women characters in the movie for it to be misogynistic.
Well, that's part of what makes it misogynistic, is like the women characters serve literal just token functions. Literal. Including the romantic interest, which I really want to get to, because they do a really weird thing in this movie where they make the romantic interest of this movie a person who isn't an actual romantic interest. So they hypersexualize her behavior, but then like shame her for it. And they have this thing where Schwartzy's really pure and never actually like consummates their relationship.
Like he's always
but he's more of a savior for her.
Yeah, he's always like a really good guy, and like he never wants to cheat on his wife. Even though several times he kind of does. But the thing
totally
is, like,
does.
I never even took it as hyper sexualized. It just seemed like perfectly normal in this weird way. But like, also she was kind of the best character of the movie. Like her lines would land. She got some of the best lines in the movie.
That's true. So actually, the time that we do meet this character is when Schwartzy goes to a swanky sort of underground gambling ring called the Allerton, hair slicked back, in his best suit, and he tries to get into an elevator, and the guy won't let him pass, and he assures him he's not a cop, but that he's a player.
But also the way he says I'm not a cop is like, dude, you're fully a cop. Like fully a cop.
He's so the obvious narc.
Hey, we're just trying to have a good time, narc.
Yeah, he's such a narc. And it's so funny because like I'm a player, and the elevator closes and then reopens, and he like hands him some money, and that dude is so excited to get that fucking money.
Oh man, they must pay this guy so shitty.
He was so over the top, like, oh my god, $100.
Schwartzy walks into this crowded smoky bar, and he goes to an official looking guy, and he says immediately he wants to talk to Roca, and he tells him to tell Roca that he's the pain in Lemansky's ass. So he's caused all this shit for this character, the Hammer Lemansky, in order to get to this like crime family and be accepted by them. It was like Harry says it's your fastest way to get to their hearts.
Again, which is a cool idea, a Bert Schmeckler's cool idea. But like, I mean, it just feels like there's no stakes in the movie at all. Like,
Schwartzy heads over to the gambling table while he waits to get the answer from Roca. And this is where we first meet Monique, who is wearing a beautiful blue sequin dress. And I fucking loved her from the very beginning.
Yeah, she was really cool.
She's just like doesn't give a fuck. She's kind of like a degenerate gambler.
Yeah, they keep implying that she's like a loser at the game. Like she's just
very in debt.
Like terrible debt.
I loved her dress. I loved her dress so much.
And he comments on it. He's like, first of all, he says also a weird line, which is losing improves your character. Yeah. And then winning improves your wardrobe. Yeah. Which is like both weird lines. Again, both fall flat.
They don't land for sure. Schwartzy then gets invited to see Roca. I kept wanting to call him Rocco. As the woman looks back at him, she's kind of like thrown some interest his way. He gets off to a secluded office area where Mr. Roca asks for his name. He introduces himself as Joseph P. Brenner, or Joey. What do you want to say?
Joseph P. Brenner, the most non-Austrian guy in the world.
Well, no, you don't think Brenner's kind of like an Austrian-sounding last name?
Is it?
Brenner. I don't know.
I don't know, dude.
I was just saying it in a Schwartzy's accent.
You're just like...
The guy who plays Roca is another real that guy, dude. The guy who plays Roca is the Bolivian drug lord from Scarface, Alejandro Sosa.
Yeah.
Dude, I love him as Alejandro Sosa.
Yeah. And also Robert Davi as Max Keller.
Dude, sadly, that actor died a few years later after playing this movie.
Robert Davi? No, Robert Davi. Oh, what's his name?
The guy who plays Mr. Roca.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Sosa, sorry.
Yeah.
And Mr. Roca.
But I love Robert Davi. Robert Davi's amazing.
I have a pretty mind-blowing piece of trivia.
How did you guess?
My how did you guess is this, dude. There's a guy there named Max Keller.
Robert Davi.
He's another that guy, yeah.
Yeah, what about him?
First of all, let's list his credentials. He was in Predator 2, Batman Beyond, Die Hard, The Goonies, License to Kill. He's been in so many good movies.
Yeah.
But do you know what he did that ties him to the other actor he's playing beside?
What?
He played the voice of Alejandro Sosa in the video game for Scarface.
Outrageous. Oh, that's like so specific.
Isn't that weirdly full circle?
Yeah, that's weirdly full circle. That's cool.
Such a good how did you guess, eh? I dug for that one.
That's good. I like that.
So Max Keller takes care of things. All kinds of things. Schwartzy wants to take care of things. All kinds of things. And Schwartzy kind of like challenges Max because he's like, I can be an upgrade for him. Roca's amused by this playful fight the two of them have.
When they do have a fight, Schwartzy says to him, how did the wheel get invented? As like a line that's supposed to like be like a slam dunk against like this dude's credentials. Do you remember that?
I remember that. It was ridiculous.
It's like, what is this?
I don't know. Schwartzy impresses them by telling them that he deduced from the flow of the blow, whatever that means, that Lemansky had been skimming from, Roca's team. And, he assumed that Roca would want it taken care of. And then Schwartzy took care of it. But Max Keller is still skeptical and doesn't trust Schwartzy. Roca gives Schwartzy $1,000 in chips and tells him to go enjoy himself at the craps table. Schwartzy goes back out to the craps or blackjack table or whatever the fuck, and he talks to the blue sequin dress. And he
Monique. Blue sequin dress.
And he condescendingly tells her that Girl Scouts also build character and it's cheaper. And then he hands her $1,000 and she's delighted.
Yeah, he gives her the chips, and when he walks away, the camera follows him for so long out of the shot, and it stays on her reaction to the chips for so long. In a way that you're like, man, like, you edited fucking Lawrence of Arabia? This is terrible.
Dude. Schwartzy does his like famous Schwartzy saunter, like that jog that he does.
Yeah.
And gets followed by 3 henchmen. And there are some cops watching from the car. He beats all 3 henchmen up, and the cops come in to like kind of crash the party and save him right before he gets stuck with one of those flippy knives.
What is that called again?
I don't know.
Switchblade.
This
is what did you call it?
I forget. Switchy knives.
Switchy knives.
The henchman.
And then he also has a weird line in this when the cops, he beats up the henchmen, and then the cops come in, and the henchmen run away, and he interacts with the police in such a bizarre way. He gives him his ID, and he says, "Oh, your name is
Joseph
P. Brenner." And he's like, "What does the P stand for?" And he's like, "Pussy." And it's like, again, it's the line that wants to be clever in some way or wants to be interesting.
This isn't even 80s clever.
No, it's just bad. Also, I was like, what is this wife? We've not seen his wife for a good 30 minutes at this point.
Oh,
and
no, you know what?
What is she doing?
We don't hear about her until almost the end.
I don't think we even see her.
We never see her again. But we're jumping so far ahead. But Schwartzy calls Harry and leaves him a message and says the plan's moving along fine. He's rented a car. He's got an apartment. But he wonders aloud what he should do if the cops come after him. Does he have the right to shoot the cops or what is he going to do? And he believes that Max Keller sent those goons after him and that Roca is actually checking up on him.
Yeah.
So we get a reveal that Schwartzy's message is being recorded by an official recording device. What was that? Does that come back?
No.
Okay, so that was just nothing? One of those
I thought
reel-to-reel tapes?
I thought Schwartzy was recording himself? What? I don't know.
In the next scene, I found this scene so weird. It was just an establishing scene, but this blonde woman is jogging. And I only mentioned that she's blonde because it was very stark blonde hair that was styled in a very mullety 80s way.
I initially thought that it was going to come back to the wife at some point. I thought that was her.
I thought that was her for a second too.
And then she comes in.
She runs over to a person who is a part of the mob, the Petrovati mob.
Yeah.
And she leads him by gun into this mob house, and they raid this house and get $100 million.
Yeah.
And
it's the same cop from the people who stopped Schwartzy in the last scene.
Yes, exactly.
And he has a good line. He says, "Call the president. I think we fixed the deficit." Which
I thought that was cool. Yeah.
It's
$100 million.
$100 million
at that time.
So much.
That's
money.
a bajillion dollars.
But it's also every other fucking person in this movie gets better lines than fucking Schwartzy. What the hell?
It's unfair. I love that bald cop. He's so cool.
He's great.
He's so normal guy cool.
Yeah, he is very normal guy cool. What was that dude's name again? Ed Lautner. Baker. The cop's name's Baker. I feel like so many of these scenes could have just not have been in the movie. None of this. These scenes
didn't need to be in the movie.
Didn't need to be in the movie.
No.
Most of the interactions with Petrovita don't need to be in the movie. With the other dude, what's the other dude's name again? His
Roca?
second Roca don't need to be in the movie at all.
No,
they're just reiterating scenes.
That's just happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mr. Roca is telling Petrovita in the penthouse that this sting operation has happened, and he's kind of assuring him that they can make up $100 million in a week.
Which, what?
Like, what is he talking about? Is he really just like trying to like calm him down because he knows he's gonna?
Was it actually $100 million? I don't know if it was $100.
It was $100 million, dude.
$100 million?
I wrote it down specifically. What an outrageous sum of money.
That is like a child writing a script. Like, they steal $100 million.
And it didn't look like $100 million.
No.
Remember in like Breaking Bad,
when
how much
Huel
money was
and
that?
That was like a lot of money. That was like $800 million.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was almost $1 billion?
Was it?
I don't remember that. I don't remember.
Maybe I'm lying.
Petrovita asks Roka how Tony's replacement is coming along. And he says, I think I got a guy. It's our boy Schwartzy that's being considered. And then Petrovita wants his money back. He wants the money and the heroin back, which is such an insane plan. He wants all of it back. He's not ready and willing to give it up. And Roka's way more practical. He's like, come on, boss. This is like, just let this one die. You're being investigated here.
You know what I just thought of? I thought of this because you brought in a new plot element. And I feel like this about modern movies. This feels like it could have been a show. And it would have been more interesting as a show.
Interesting. Why do you say that?
Because there's so many threads that I have. Like, I find this movie incredibly confusing. I find this movie incredibly confusing.
It is. If this was episodes in a show, they would have strung this plot out for 13 episodes.
Yeah. And like we've got several plots going on at once.
Yes.
We've got a revenge plot that isn't the main character's plot.
Yes.
We've got Schwartzy's plot where he's a guy who's been 5 years in exile as a sheriff in a shithole small town.
In exile from the FBI because he did a good thing by beating up a pervert.
Yeah.
So like he's a good guy all around.
All around. And then we have a plot that we're supposed to care about two mob bosses, two factions of mobs fighting against each other. None of it's compelling. At all. Like we're put in this situation, especially in this scene, where he's like, I want my money back. I want my heroin back. Like, why am I supposed to care about this?
Dude, that brings me to my next How Did You Guess?
How did you guess?
Because we talked about the triple identity. This movie was supposed to be called Triple Identity.
Amazing.
Because they somehow imagined that people would understand the triple plot. Like they would I wouldn't have thought of that.
No, never. And also Raw Deal makes no as a plot, as a title makes no sense.
The initial title after Triple Identity was supposed to be Let's Make a Deal.
Oh no.
Which is amazing.
That's amazing. That's just like a bad game show.
Isn't that such a good How Did You Guess?
How did you guess?
In the next scene, we're back in Roka's underground casino office, and he's asking how Schwartzy's never been arrested or done any time, and he makes another like slight jab at Max, and he says, well, I'm smart. I'm like this guy.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, the way they played up the animosity was so childish, I felt.
It was, and it was supposed to link the two and make you care about them, but I never cared about Robert Davi. Like, the only reason I cared about either of them was because they're both charismatic.
Very charismatic.
And like, Robert Davi does a really good job at playing that kind of asshole.
So good. So, Roka warns him that, he's only temporary in the family, and if he is bad, he will be very temporary because he'll kill him. Schwartzy's happy to be invited to the family. Schwartzy leaves the casino high off his latest victory. And Monique, blue sequin dress, is waiting outside for a cab. And she's looking fine as fuck in a blue blazer. Blue's her color, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently the money he gave her didn't change her luck. And she's barely leaving with cab fare.
Was that the same day?
That wasn't the same day.
That wasn't the same day,
no. She's just like a degenerate gambler. Like she's there every single day. I love that. She's like a lush. She's always a little bit slurry and drunk, and she's always just gambling. She's great.
I don't know. Yeah, I felt like she was the most person of all of them. Like she was the most well-defined character.
Oh, I would
both
100%
written
agree.
and acted.
Yeah. He makes another like fat shaming joke here, kind of, because he says that she should try a different sort of recreation than gambling. And she says, well, losing at tennis wouldn't help anything. And he says, well, the exercise would. It's like,
but again, like she's got lines. She's got lines. She's smart. She's a person, you know. Whereas like him being kind of a dick is just kind of lame. But then he like propositions her.
yes.
And like he goes back to the hotel.
And they're drinking. No, they're in his apartment and they're drinking in his apartment. And she cheers him with champagne as he's drinking. I like that touch because they both played drunk really well, actually, I thought.
Schwartzy does a good job being fake drunk, which is really hard to do.
Not in Destroyer. He was terrible.
Yeah, but in Conan, he's really good.
In Conan the Destroyer.
No, the first one.
He plays drunk. No, that's where I thought he was bad.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he was good in that.
Wait, is he drunk? Which one is he? Is he drunk in both of them?
He's drunk in both of them, I think.
I don't remember now.
Doesn't matter.
Listen back to the episodes.
Fully cheating on his wife.
Well, they don't. I guess they never actually have real sex because he pretends to pass out.
Yeah.
She rips his shirt open and she's so impressed.
Well, it's impressive.
Yeah.
But he does a good job in this
It's a nice
scene.
chest.
It sounds like you really have a little crush on Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Shut up.
He does a good job in this scene because what he does to fool the mob in this scene, it's such an over-the-top plan, but it is cool. I thought it was cool.
So what does he do? Tell me.
What he does is he pretends to pass out right before they're about to have sex. And then she, being a plant for Robert Davi's character, Max, goes through his wallet and his passport and calls them to like basically give all that information over so that they can like background check him. And he's like over the top snoring and then like gets up and is still pretending to snore as he like looks outside the door, which was, I don't know. I thought that was like a neat little scene.
For sure. In the next scene, Roka's trying to convince Petrovita that he doesn't need to get his money and his smack back, but Petrovita wants none of it. And he's all about taking big risks. We didn't need this scene at all. It just reiterates the last scene.
Yeah, for sure. And also, if he did cheat on his wife, it would make him a better character.
But dude, the next scene is one of my favorite scenes because...
Oh, at the gay bar?
Oh my God. I loved when Max Keller and Schwartzy go into the gay bar. Because there's like drag performers on stage. And Keller checks in with the barkeep about a guy named Metzger, who the guy says he doesn't know where he is. And then Keller spots him. And he chases him up into the green room where the drag performers are getting ready to perform. And he like fucking beats this guy up because he knows that he's working with Lemansky. So he threatens him with a knife, but Schwartzy cuts in and pushes him all across the makeup tables into the wall and then paints his face red, and he's like, this is what you're gonna look like when you die.
I mean, like throughout this entire scene, I was like clenching my fists, being like, oh man, somebody's gonna say something so homophobic. And surprisingly not. The only thing that was like close to it was actually like the line about boys messing up their makeup, but they're drag queens, so it's like...
I did hear a homophobic line. It doesn't come from either of them. It comes from the police officer who runs into them at the gay bar after. Remember the bald police officer?
Yeah.
He comes and he's like, hey, didn't know you were into this stuff, Keller. Like this weird stuff, right?
Right.
And he's like, this isn't that weird. Which was kind of like, he's the progressive one.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Is like I didn't expect it. I expected Schwartzy to be homophobic or Davi.
Schwartzy never said anything homophobic.
No, he didn't.
I mean, like, should we applaud him for that?
For the 80s? Yeah, I think so.
He's just a fucking cop. He's a piece of shit to begin with.
I mean, I don't know, but I'm not like that though. Like, I'm not like one of those people who's like, oh yeah, like all cops are terrible, especially like movie cops. It's like,
well,
I know movie cops,
but movie cops are supposed to be the quintessential good guy. Like, it's like the signifier.
This is a job for semiotics.
Of it's like lawful good, right?
Yeah, for
sure.
So,
I mean, like, I'm willing to watch this movie in the sense of like, okay, I'm just seeing lawful good guy. It doesn't have to be a cop, but it happens to be a cop. You know what I mean? I mean, I think real life cops, it's just always like shady ass motivations. Like, why the fuck are you a cop?
Yeah, I mean, but then again, like, how do you get into like, why are you a politician?
I agree with that too.
But you need that.
I know. I realize that, but I'm just saying,
it's like a bitter pill to swallow.
Totally bitter pill to swallow. But I do think there's a level of sociopathy involved in being both a politician and a police officer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
There's got to be something.
Argue with that.
If one, you're shady and you do shady ass shit, or two, if you're like think you're a vigilante justice dude and like go around like killing or shooting people, or like taking care of, like, it's just like a complex. You know what I mean? And I know everyone's got a fucking uncle that's a cop and my uncle's a good guy. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really buy it.
I don't know, but I also don't buy the well, I guess you're not saying this, but like, I mean, like a structure that exists to incentivize like people to be better is a better way of understanding it than...
I understand that reasoning. It's not what I'm talking about, though. Like, I get that. I mean, I get the practicality of having something like police, but at the same time, I'm also like, over the people that like decide to do it, because I question all of their motivations.
But again, it sounds like the both sidism of like saying like, oh, why be a politician? All politicians are do you know what I mean? Like, it's just not, it just in that vein doesn't seem practical.
I agree. I mean, it's reductionistic, but I'm not like, I don't know. I'm not willing to give it that much thought right now.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
For sure. I mean,
like, we're not going to solve fucking police brutality.
We can't solve police brutality.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, I think...
It's also the FBI is different to me than police.
Right, but the FBI has more of this kind of like, federal oversight, like authoritarian kind of like, we take care of everything in a country. And like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not like a fucking libertarian or anything, but like, it feels like...
I mean, libertarianism, man.
Libertarians are fiscally conservative.
17-year-old Alex.
Oh my God. I mean, libertarianism is the most perfect, hilarious ideology because it just requires so much ignoring of reality.
There's a certain kind of libertarian that's like, that's a person who wants everybody to have the same amount of drive or whatever, but like also doesn't understand that like, whoa, dude, like you have a bunch of shit. Like you don't have that in that system. You know what I mean? Like everybody has to start from the same thing if you want that kind of system, not the other way around. You know what I mean?
I agree. Dude, let's get through this shitty ass movie. Petrovita invites Schwartzy to a party.
so over it at this point.
I just can't, like, I can't do this movie. And Schwartzy invites his new girlfriend, Monique, to this party.
Which, like, if she was so fucking wanting to fuck this dude, like, why was she with him at all? Why did they start dating? Why were they dating?
they had like a weird platonic friend, like a platonic dates. Like, man, just they
go to the party. You're talking about the party scene, right? I hated this. But what are the like? This is the weird thing. When Robert Davi is touching Schwartzy's ear,
Max Keller,
yeah,
and he takes a picture with him and he touches his ear, And he's like, oh, I'm so drunk. But it's so weird because he takes the picture with him to like maliciously look him up later and like look into his background. So Roka finally introduces Schwartzy to...
So mad about it. You're so mad, dude.
I can't stand this movie.
It's not me. It wasn't me.
I know.
The problem is the movie. It's
I can't talk about this movie.
No.
What do you want to do? Do you want to like not talk like do you want to like just like talk about like I don't know, like broad strokes? I can't
maybe
go
I
can't go through the whole thing.
Like, I can't do it either cuz like fuck, dude. It's not only boring. It's fucking sucks. Like it sucks. I hated it. I hated it so much. All the shit, all of it. It's so bad.
Okay.
Like none of the movie makes sense. I don't care about anybody in the movie.
Can I tell you something?
What?
I thought it was so funny that the Hammer's goons spot Schwartzy accidentally in the dress store.
Yeah.
As he's waiting for Monique to try on some beautiful dresses.
And why is he with her at a dress store?
And he offers to buy her, like he's being kind of like a sugar daddy to her, but not...
With somebody else's fucking money. Somebody who's dead child.
Yeah, and he's wasting his life savings on... It's like, whoa, buddy, don't go crazy. Like, just don't be handing out, like, thousands of dollars.
Yeah. And this scene where he fights these goons, like, is so fucking lame.
But I really like how she helps him. My favorite part of this scene is how she helps him. She smashes their heads with a vase and then takes the arm off of a mannequin in the store and starts... beating the guy on the head with it.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, it was sad. I felt sad watching this movie.
I felt sad watching this movie too.
Because you come off a high where you're like, oh yeah,
Commando was such a high.
Not just like, man, like this movie's so awesome and it's so tightly made, and also like as you felt like a kid watching it again.
Totally. That's what makes me give that movie a high score.
Yeah.
Because it's good. It may not be profound,
no,
but it's really good.
And like all the Dan Hedaya racism and all the jelly body of fucking Bennett. So awesome.
God, so
all the
awesome.
Weird homoeroticism in that movie.
Dude, I subsequently read that there's this huge theory about the homoeroticism in this movie.
Yeah.
And that the guy who played Bennett, Mark something, he knows all about it and he's like disgusted in interviews.
Didn't you tell me that this on the podcast last time?
No, we came to this conclusion ourselves when we're watching the movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's just like why don't we just make more of a podcast about Commando?
I could just do another episode about Commando.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to just go through broad strokes?
Sure.
Schwartzy suggests to Petrovita, Roka. My God, I can't even get their stupid names right.
Oh my God.
He suggests that... I mean, like, what do you want to do here? I don't want to finish this movie. Like,
oh man.
Like, do you want to? I had so much trouble writing the notes for this because I was like,
none of this is funny.
Am I really going to talk about all this? Like,
I hate this.
And then I was questioning. It was like gaslighting me. This movie was gaslighting me because it was making me feel like, am I bad at this? Am I bad at writing notes for this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was reading it back and I was just like, whoa, this is what this movie is?
Yeah, but like, I mean, the only parts that I found interesting were things you mentioned earlier, where it's like, at one point, like, Schwartzy's talking to Harry. He's talking to Harry.
Yeah.
And he's like starting to have like a weird existential crisis about like, oh yeah, like I like this life. He's like wearing like an outrageous purple suit in it.
At the end,
and like he's also like he at one point in a dinner scene, he's like talking to Monique, and they haven't had sex yet at all.
They don't have sex
ever in the movie, and it like he's like buying her shit, and then they're having dinner and he like tells her he's married, like putting his wife in weird amount of danger where it's like,
seriously,
whoa, dude, like this is a criminal. You're not like, you don't fucking know this person. Why are you telling her about your wife? Like, just like, I don't know, man. Like there was that like heist scene.
I mean, I feel like we should just like talk about things we found interesting. I mean, I like where this is going.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't go scene by scene.
And it's fucking 2 a.m. and I gotta eat. So.
And the podcast is already an hour and a half long.
And this is a train wreck.
I'm gonna edit so much of it down.
Good.
Dude, let's go straight to the rating of this movie.
Fuck this movie.
Fuck this movie.
Yeah, fuck this movie. This movie's fucking dumb.
It's so bad. I hated it so much.
I hate it so much.
Wow, I didn't think I would hate it this much.
Yeah, like I don't remember it being this bad, but also I remember it being this fucking bad.
It's so boring.
It's so boring.
It's like not a good Schwartzy movie, not a good crime movie. It's
Like there are several steps that somebody should have been like, what the fuck is this?
I gave this a 2.5 star rating.
Fuck you for that. Cause that's a better rating than it needs to be.
What did you give it, Schwartzy's?
I gave it 2 Schwartzys.
Fuck.
Cause he's in it. That was the first Schwartzy. And the second Schwartzy is I just like Schwartzy, so I guess I'm gonna give it fucking that.
Can I talk to you about the end? At the end, Harry is recovering in the hospital because he's been shot, because this movie doesn't matter.
He's been shot by fucking at one point. Like, what? How did that even happen? Like,
I don't know.
Robert Davi takes Schwartzy to the grave of
because he wants to reveal that he's actually a mole.
Yeah,
and so he does it by making him shoot his own boss. And then he realizes it's Harry.
Harry, you're making a big mistake. You got me mixed up with somebody else.
And he like, there's this, like shoot off where everyone kills each other. And Schwartzy, of course, kills everyone. And then he's like, I'm sorry, Harry. It's so weird. And he's like, just go. And he's like, what? You're dying, dude.
Yeah, dude. Call the cops. Call the fucking ambulance. And like there was that whole heist scene that was like so interesting. And then they cut away from it. There's like a whole heist happens in the movie where they're trying to steal back the $100 million and the drugs. Yeah. And it's cool. It looks cool. It's more interesting.
And they didn't focus on it at all.
Focus on it. And then there's this whole chase scene after that with Robert Davi and fucking Schwartzy shooting at like the other criminal syndicate. And then they come back. And the heist is over, and they blow them up.
All of the bad guys die so unceremoniously in this movie. The Hammer, Petrovita, the only guy who kind of dies cool. Actually, Petrovita dies pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the only guy who dies really cool, I would believe, is the guy Max Keller, Robert Davi.
Yeah.
Robert
Davi gets like
because he gets the digital slow motion shot.
God, post-production slow-mo.
I love the post-production slow-mo.
I wrote that down too. I was like, I need to write down the only interesting thing in this movie is
the post-production slow-mo. Yeah. Agreed wholeheartedly.
Oh, by the way, Schwartzy, as what's his name gets fucking shot. God damn it. What's his fucking Harry gets shot.
Yeah.
And then Schwartzy has this dumbass commando moment where he's, by the way, anytime Schwartzy's in wide, Schwartzy always needs to be in wide. He's amazing in wide. I love him wide shots of Schwartzy. Cool. And there's so many wide shots of Schwartzy in this. I'll give it that.
I did love that, yeah.
He's like bringing his guns, setting up, having bullets or whatever. And then he drives to this fucking stupid ass quarry to shoot up.
Oh my God, I hated this so much.
It was so outrageous. He's just like shooting out of his car.
And can we say the most inconsequential reveal of all time, where we realize that Baxter, the prosecutor, is actually the mole?
Oh my God. The government prosecutor guy is the mole. And it was meant to be such a reveal. Also, I realized...
Sherman, I just realized you insulted me.
At the end of the movie, why the music was so shitty was because they used that goddamn Rolling Stones song, and I'm sure they blew all their fucking money on that.
Oh, can't get no satisfaction?
Can't get no satisfaction.
How hack?
So hacky. So lame. Just like, dude, Schwartzy driving around, shooting people with precision accuracy.
Yeah.
Murdering people on high cranes.
Yeah.
Killing people, and nobody's hitting him.
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't that kind of action movie. You can't pull this. This isn't Commando.
This movie doesn't deserve this.
Where you can chop an arm off.
No, yeah, they didn't earn the cartoonishness.
No.
Okay, at the end, Harry is in a wheelchair and he doesn't want to try and walk. And then Schwartzy comes and forces him to do it, telling him that he's going to be the godfather to his child. Surprise, he's back with Amy and she's pregnant.
You never see her.
She forgives him for faking his death after forcing her.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. I didn't even fucking think of that. My God.
Forcing her into exile for 5 years and then
faking his own death,
traumatizing the fuck out of this poor woman.
Who knows how long? How long did the movie take place over?
I don't know.
Seemingly months or days?
It seemed like it was months. He had the time to establish relationships. And okay, whatever you want to say, he didn't have sex with her, fine. But he had a totally inappropriate as fuck with relationship with what's her face?
Monique. Yeah, absolutely.
If Amy doesn't know about that relationship, that was inappropriate as fuck.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Okay. Jeff we were doing this interesting thing where it was like, how could we make this movie better?
Yeah.
Number one, fine. Keep the plot the same, but have Robert Davi figure out, maybe try and shoot that scene in the graveyard where he tries to shoot Harry. Yeah. Have that happen before, so Arnold has motivation to do whatever the fuck he needs to do. You tell me, why did Schwartzy do any of the things he did in this movie?
Apparently to get his job at the FBI back. But
is that strong enough motivation for you?
Well, listen.
Does he give a shit enough about his wife to fake his own death and then get his job back?
Apparently Apparently he cares about his wife a lot because he wants to do this for her. But he hasn't really shown that he cares about her a lot.
Not at all.
He doesn't respect any of her decisions and he's pretty careless about her. But that is, I guess, kind of his motivation.
Yeah, I guess.
And also, he wants his career back, right? He really took pride in being a FBI agent or whatever, right?
Yeah, did he?
I don't know. Listen, I'm really excited. That was Raw Deal, everyone. That's all you got for that movie.
Fuck Raw Deal.
Fuck that movie so hard.
Raw Deal can suck my balls.
Just as much as I hate Raw Deal and hated doing this episode, I'm excited to do next week's episode because we are doing what movie, Alex?
Predator?
We're doing Predator next week, and we have our
special guest star Lee Weisblatt.
His name is Lee. goddammit.
We have a special guest star next week.
That's gonna be awesome.
I'm really looking forward to that. I'm renting
some new microphones.
I'm renting equipment for it. Yeah.
Oh, can I say something?
Yeah.
One thing that I did find funny was when Harry is trying to do his rehabilitation, and he's trying to crawl up, and he's like, "Damn it, I don't want to be," and it's like, whoa, dude, this is so randomly emotional. This is a completely different movie.
It took a totally different tone
and then,
at the end.
And it's why is he the one getting the emotional support when his wife is who's now pregnant? But at one point,
and they don't ever show her again.
No. But Schwartzy comes in to help his friend walk again so he can be the godfather. But then it cuts to the nurse, and the nurse is crying, and it's whoa, dude, when is this? Why does this nurse care so much of this random dude? Nurses don't do that.
That was so outrageous.
It was so outrageous, and then it freeze framed. And Jeff and I
love the freeze frame.
We were watching it. We were like, oh man, I hope it ends on a freeze frame. frame. It's gotta end on a fucking freeze frame. And then both of us yelled as it ended on. We were like, yes, yes, because like nothing happens. This movie's of no consequence. No one ever needs to watch this movie. Fuck this movie. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode.
Oh, if you end up listening to this episode, thank you, because
thank you for getting to the end of this terrible episode.
You know what? What? You have to warn me, dude.
Oh, you have to warn me.
If this movie's bad, this movie is a movie that I would have preferred to have watched with you, so that I
could have at least made fun of it.
Yeah, like, oh, dude.
Yeah. All right, see you guys next week for Predator.
Yeah.